the lighting is so bad. Hello, welcome back to the channel. I don't have a lot of time to film these videos because August, he's gonna be chatty. I have childcare starting next week, 2 days a week. Although I don't know if I'm gonna want to film while she's here, so yeah. In the meantime, I have to film with August watching me, and he is so chatty these days. Anyway, are you just gonna be so happy for mommy the whole time? Okay. In the spirit of doing something new, fun, and different, although not that new because I have done this before, I thought it would be fun to give you guys solicited advice, okay? Not unsolicited. I asked if there's anything you guys wanted advice on, and holy shiitake did I get a ton of responses. I did. Why am I qualified to give advice? I'm not. I'm just a random YouTuber, right? I feel like I'm doing my life pretty good these days, but I'm certainly not a qualified professional in any sense of the word. I just like to talk. So, that being said, you guys who know who I am and like to listen all had lots of problems that came to me, to the point where I'm like, should I make this a monthly series? Because, I mean, I'm not even gonna touch like 1/10 of the submissions that I got because it's just too many. I pulled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 things. I don't even know how many to get to all of those. And like, yeah. I had at least 100 more, like so many things. So maybe I'll make this a monthly thing. We'll see how this goes. Yeah. Also, sorry, I know the lighting is bad, but like it's 5 o'clock and it's just the way the light comes into the room this time of day. It's the best time for me to film. So I screenshotted a couple of the questions, and I'm just gonna go in the order of my screenshot. My 3-month-old is rolling back to belly, but not belly to back. How do I get to the other? Okay, so I'm not a baby whisperer, okay? I have a 3.5-month-old who just 2 days ago started rolling from belly to back, and way more destructively, back to belly. And it is very exciting and very cute and very fun, although now we cannot swaddle him at all. He has to sleep in the crib, and he fully prefers to sleep on his stomach, and it is fully terrifying. And if you think I didn't spend the first several hours of him sleeping on his stomach just staring at him next to him in the crib, then I don't know what to tell you. But to answer this question, you can't. You don't. What do you, I mean, tummy time, right? That's the answer. Lots of tummy time so they can build their muscles, but I find it's best to just be patient with the baby milestones. Some they'll hit early, some they'll hit late. Babies are gonna do what babies are gonna do. I, when he was first born, was like so anxious for him to hit like a bunch of physical and like mental milestones, and now he's only 3.5 months old, so it hasn't been that long, and I'm again no expert. But I do find myself being much more patient. Every new stage is going to bring a new set of complications, and it's going to be so joyful and amazing. Like, I can't wait for him to crawl and to teeth and to walk and to talk and to eat and to, you know, all these things that are coming up in the next year or two. I am excited for all of them. However, once they happen, you can never go back. I will never have a baby who doesn't roll every single time I put him on his back for the rest of my life. Like, he's always going to be this way, and I'm so excited for him because he's getting so big and so active, and I love this, you know, every stage I love. But the baby who doesn't roll, that baby is gone forever now. So I say just be patient and enjoy the stage you're in, because it won't last that long. It won't last half as long as you think it's going to. Well, I find personally with parenthood, the days are long, but the months are really short. And it's like I blinked and I have this giant baby who's rolling around and sleeping on his tummy and can't be swaddled, and I don't know. You can never go back. So just enjoy the moment and the stage that you're in, you know. The best thing to do to hit the physical milestones is to let them literally work out with tummy time. Okay, just moved to Los Angeles, and I assume this is Los Angeles and not Louisiana, although it could be either. And I don't know where to start to make friends and meet other couples. Oof, let me know if you figure out how to meet other couples. Here's how we made our friends. The majority of the friends that I have are from work. A lot of the friends that I have here in LA are friends that I'm actually made at work in New Orleans, and we all moved out to LA together. But new friends that I've made in LA, I have made through work. So put yourself out there at work, because you never know, your new work bestie could become your new bestie. Kind of like when you're in high school, you're friends with people that you go to school with. When you're in college, you're friends with people that you're like around all the time, and it's so easy to make friends in those scenarios because you're just around people. Well, guess what? You're typically around a lot of people at work. So I have personally found that to be where I found most of my best friends. Alternatively, I will say this. When we moved to Los Angeles in 2016, we joined a kickball league. I was terrible. It was hilarious. Our team came in absolute last in the tournament or whatever, but we made a lot of friends, and our initial original friend group in Los Angeles was completely comprised of people that we met through the kickball team, and it just was a great opportunity to like socialize and have people to go do things with, and we were forced to see each other every single week, and there was a kickball game every week, and then there was a bar tournament, like beer pong tournament game every week, and it was just like a lot of forced socialization that turned into real friendships. The friend who I went to the wedding for the other day on this vlog, met her through the kickball league. We have friends who live now in Florida. A lot of our kickball friends have moved out of Los Angeles. Anyway, they're coming to visit soon. And so like we're still really good friends with a lot of the kickball people. So put yourself out there, join things. Recently we've started doing like a mommy and me or a parent and me class. And I'm determined to make friends with those people, whether they know it or not yet. So, you know, just put yourself out there, find groups of things that are similar to you. With the kickball thing, it wasn't that we all really liked kickball. It was more so that we were all looking for friends. You don't, people typically join those things looking for friends. So that's kind of how we did it, but also work. So it's really just about finding activities and being brave enough to put yourself out there. I wish there was a different answer, but that's truly how you make friends. Okay, I actually got some variation of this like about 10 times, so I just thought I would put this here. I have addressed this a couple of times on my channel before, but I'm happy to do it again. So this person said, any advice for someone who wants to try and do YouTube full-time? I don't do YouTube full-time, by the way. This is not my main source of income. This is like a nice little supplemental income that I do receive now, but by the way, I've been doing YouTube for 7 years. Longer than that. I've been on this channel for 7 years. I had another channel before that when I was younger. So I've been doing YouTube in one way or another for over 10 years, and I just started making money off of it in a real way last year. So in over 10 years, let's call it, let's see, I probably made my first YouTube video when I was 18. So let's say in 13 years. It took me the first 12 of absolutely no financial return. And then just in the last year, I made a financial return, and not enough that I could live off of. Absolutely not. I make a couple $100 a month, which is fantastic and amazing. And I'm super grateful. But my point is, I would not suggest that you try and do YouTube full time. At this point, he's sucking on his fingers if you're wondering what that noise is. At this point, the market for YouTubers is so oversaturated. You have to get so lucky with a viral hit to make it big and to be a full-time YouTuber. The timing on that would have been better and a little easier earlier on in the algorithm, right, when there were less creators involved. But now, because enough creators have become famous, a lot of other people want to do it, and there's just like way too many creators on the platform, which is not a bad thing. I'm all for having a lot of creators, but I don't think the object of any creator who is joining YouTube should be financial freedom or full-time employment, because YouTube is very fickle, and even if you go viral with one video tomorrow, it does not guarantee financial success for the next several years. You have to be consistent and realistic. Also, B, the odds of you getting to that point are really, really low. And C, I find often that if you are doing YouTube for the money, then you're not doing YouTube for the right reasons, and you will burn out way faster than you think is possible, and you will not stick to it. I have been doing YouTube, like I said, for I guess 13 years, and never once have I done it for the money. Never once did I think I was gonna be a famous YouTuber, a big YouTuber. Many of those years I had less than 100 subscribers, and the only people that would leave comments were my dad and one of my friends from college. Those were my only comments for like years and years and years. Sometimes I would be the only viewer on my video, me and Mario. And I was okay with that because I just liked making videos. For me, it was a way to sharpen my editing skills, to, you know, talk about stuff that I wanted to talk about, attempt to find some sort of online community. And then it became a really good safe haven for my eating disorder recovery. So for me, it's had many different outlets, but never once have any of those outlets been employment or full-time income. Although it would be wonderful if that ever happened for me, and I welcome that. I would love to manifest that into my life. I'm very realistic with the concept that it absolutely is not in the cards. Because of the general unlikelihood of it, because of I didn't hit the algorithm at the right time. Could one of my videos still go viral and things still happen for me? Sure, but that's, again, not why I make YouTube videos. And my number one piece of advice for anyone who wants to start a YouTube channel is do not do it for the money. Do it because you have a hobby, you like the idea of being a vlogger, you like watching vloggers, you want to try your hand at it, you have this niche, you have this talent, you have this skill, you have this hobby you want to share. in the video, long form video format. Do it because you want to form community. Do it because, you know, whatever, you like filming yourself. You know, whatever your reason is, make sure that it's important in here and it matters in here and that it has nothing to do with making any money. And that's the only way I think you'll ever have a successful YouTube channel. I don't know if I said all that right, but I hope you get my point. Okay, I am due in August. August, that's your name. Someone's due in August. I'm due in August with my first child. I feel so unprepared and not ready. Yeah? Did you hear your name a little too many times? I don't know if he knows his name, but I'm starting to think he might. As I sit here staring at my baby, let me tell you that I did not know what it took to feel prepared and to feel ready, and I simply never did before he was born. I just kept thinking, like, when I'm a parent, how am I gonna know what to do all day? Like, how am I going to know what to do with the baby? How am I gonna know, like, when he needs to be changed, and when he needs to nap, when he needs to eat, when he needs to play, what to play with him, like, blah, 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 blah. How do all these parents know these things? I just don't have that, like, innate something inside of me. You know, the only reason I even knew what to put on my registry is because I had other moms in my life tell me what I was gonna need, and I just Googled a bunch of stuff of, like, what I need. I didn't know why I was necessarily gonna need any of it. I felt so unprepared and so not ready and so concerned that I wasn't gonna be a good mom because I didn't know what was coming. And then August was born, and it's just so innate. I don't know how else to say it. Like, it's just so, you know, it takes some time to figure out. It wasn't like he was born and I was like, aha, I get it now. But every day of his life, I learn a little bit more about him and what he needs and what he wants and what he likes. And it was, bless you, it was pretty quick after he was born, like after the first couple of weeks of just like newborn haze, that all of a sudden I was like, oh, you just kind of figure it out and know. And I don't think anybody really, before they have a kid, is prepared unless they've like worked in like infant childcare. Like, I don't think anybody really knows what the fuck they're doing. But you'll be surprised how quickly and easily you'll figure it out, because I simply did not know. Had no idea and was very concerned about it. And it's been, I mean, easy is maybe not the right word, but it's been more natural than I ever could have imagined. And I promise you it will be for you too. I know Mario feels the exact same way. Okay, next. My work bestie left and there's no coverage plan and it's defaulting to me. First of all, this is from a friend of mine, so I'm sorry that happened to you, babe. That sounds like a huge issue of management. Nothing makes me angrier than a really terrible manager. Having been a manager for many years and having had terrible managers for many years, I can tell you that nothing is more frustrating than someone who just sees someone who overachieves and excels, like I imagine my friend absolutely 100% does at their job, and doesn't take an action to prevent you from overworking yourself or burning yourself out because they're like, so-and-so's got it, they'll be fine. Well, that's bullshit and that's problem of management. And I would say just start verbalizing your issues now in writing. So maybe verbalizing is the wrong word. Getting your issues known now in writing. Hey, Mr. Manager. Hey, Mrs. Manager. Hey, non-binary manager, whatever. Ever since so-and-so left, I've had to take on the following responsibilities. Boom, 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 boom. These are not my typical job responsibilities and they're causing me to not be able to complete my typical tasks. I'm just curious if there's a plan in place for hiring someone to replace so-and-so, or increasing my compensation to cover the additional tasks I've taken on, or to redistribute a number of tasks in our department. Whatever it is, whatever solution that you'd be most happiest with, write that email out, copy HR, send it out. Also maybe with the quick heads up to them in person before you just like drop this email on your manager, especially if you don't know how they're going to react. I'm not sure about your manager's temperament. A good manager would not have done this to you, so I'm imagining they're not great. So you might want to poke your head and be like, hey, I've just had a couple of issues since Katie left. I'm going to send an email out later today just so you know. That way they can't be like, this came out of nowhere. But truly, everything needs to be in writing, because otherwise that's how bad managers can gaslight you. So I'm really sorry that happened, and I hope you find a new work bestie, and best case scenario, they hire someone new, or you start getting paid more. Either of those two are kind of the only realistic options. So now it's just about playing the politics of your workplace, and only you know like what things your manager's going to respond best to. But I find that being very just unwilling to accept any other answer. Like, well, surely the answer can't be that I'm going to take on all this work with no additional compensation. So what is the plan? Just like playing dumb until you get the answer that you want. I don't know, this might be bad advice, but in general, that's how I would play it. But there is a lot of nuanced office politics that would have to be involved there that I would have to, you know what, call me. we can talk about it. Okay, I think I have a mental health issue and I'm not sure how to advocate for myself to get a diagnosis. Well. Welcome to the bucket of mental health issues that I am. Here's the thing. I always think that the hardest part of this scenario is admitting to yourself that you have something going on you may not be sure of, because knowing that you have a problem that you want addressed is like how you're gonna get into therapy. Basically, the answer is get yourself to a therapist, see if your health insurance, if you're in the United States, covers a counselor. What's going on, my bud? Are we done? What can I use to distract you for just a little bit longer? What was I saying? Oh yeah, get to a therapist, get to a counselor, get to someone that you can speak to. And I'll just say it like this. A good therapist will not fight you. A good therapist will challenge you, but they will not fight you on what you know is going on. So the best thing you can do is be honest and advocate for yourself. If you're not honest and you're not honest with yourself or advocating for yourself, or if you're embarrassed to talk about it with somebody, you're only doing yourself a disservice. It doesn't hurt anybody else for you to not get the care you need, but it will hurt you. So my biggest thing with therapy, and this took me a long time, I've been going to therapy for many years, it took me a long time to be just absolutely fully honest without fear of judgment, because that's why you're going to therapy. And when I started doing that, I started getting my litany of diagnoses. And it helped me understand my own mental health so much better, myself, my personality, just so much about me. But I had to be honest. I had to be true and honest and not exaggerate things or lie or make things seem better than they were or worse than they were or anything, because the therapist at the end of the day does not care, okay? The therapist is just there to listen, challenge, understand, diagnose, and help. So step one, you've already done. You've admitted to yourself that you need some help. Step two, find somebody trustworthy, a therapist, a counselor, a mental health professional, to talk about it. And then step three, be absolutely as honest as you possibly can be and accept whatever they have to say. And don't go in there with any preconceived notions, because I've definitely done that, where I'm like, I go in and I'm like, well, I'm depressed, so I refuse to accept anything else. If they tell me I'm not depressed, then they're wrong. Well, no, just go in there and explain how you're feeling, and you might be surprised. Maybe you are depressed. I'm using depression as an example, just FYI. But maybe there's something else going on. So anyway, admit to yourself, find a counselor, be honest, be open. Mental health issues suck, but for most, they're very manageable, so I wish you best of luck. Okay, my toddler says curse words because my partner and I do. What should I do? Well, I have a 3.5-month-old. So I'm nowhere near fully understanding this, and my take on this may change a lot the older he gets. Here's my current take on it as someone who swears a lot and probably won't stop too much in front of kids. My parents, specifically my dad, swore a lot in front of me. Of course, now look at me, so you know, just beware. If you don't want your kid to swear a lot, then watch your mouth. However, I was taught at an early age that all words are just words, and there are no good words or bad words, with the exception of words that hurt other people. Those are bad words, but the words themselves are not bad. It's the intention and the use behind them. So that's why we don't use certain words, because they hurt other groups of people. Okay, that being said, swear words, just like other words, are just words. They're not good or they're not bad, but they can offend others. So while your mommy and daddy don't care and will continue to use swear words, just know that it's not polite to use swear words in certain situations in front of, you know, authority figures, in school, in class. It's just not polite. People don't like it. So even though they're just words and they're not good or bad, it's just good to be polite and understand your surroundings. That being said, like, I'm not gonna tell you how to discipline your child, but that's kind of my plan. If my kid swears, my kid swears. I'm not really that worried about it, as long as eventually they come to understand like when it's appropriate to swear and when it's inappropriate to swear. And at a certain point, if they cross that boundary and they're just like saying fuck all the time to their teacher, well, then that's when some disciplinary action will have to be taken. And I'm not sure what that looks like, because again, my baby is 3.5 months old and I have years before I have to worry about this. But that's how I was raised. It really worked on me. I never swore when I wasn't supposed to, and I swore up a motherfucking storm when it didn't matter. And it's been just fine. And that's kind of my plan with August. We'll see how it goes. Okay, next. How do you have so much self-confidence? I do have a lot of self-confidence. You know, the answer to this question is therapy. So much therapy. Long-time viewers of the channel will know this channel was, of course, about my eating disorder for many, many years. I was anorexic when I was younger, and that anorexia was born from a severe lack of self-confidence. I mean, real intense self-hatred, which I lived in for many, many years. I hated myself. I hated a lot of things about myself. Specifically about the way that I looked. And like most teenage girls, I just, was super unhappy, but I took it to the extreme, and that was no good. So I recovered from my eating disorder over the course of many years. I failed, I relapsed, I had quite the journey, right? Which you may or may not already know about. Throughout that journey, I had bad therapists and good therapists, but the best therapist I ever had really nailed in this concept, which I still firmly believe in today, which is that like this recovery journey I was on was not going to happen if I didn't want it and try for it and work really hard at it every single day. And we did a lot of different things. We did art therapy, and we did like self-love practice, and we did notes on the mirror. And I bet you, I think I still have in a box somewhere, I have like all the art that I used to just paint like quotes like, I love myself, like the scale does not define me, like my body is a vessel for my soul. I used to make these like beautiful little pictures in a notebook with acrylic paint, and I would write notes on the mirror like, you are beautiful, your thighs are beautiful, like your boobs are beautiful, you are more than your body is not defining you, you are a good person, you're a beautiful person inside and out. I would write them on the mirror, I would write them in sticky notes, they would be in my notebooks at school, they were in my notebooks at work, they would be everywhere. I would have these paintings that I made hung up all over my wall. That plus a lot of other more directly like eating disorder specific related therapy tactics got me through my recovery. But really, I think about that time, and the reality is I got myself through my recovery. Somewhere in that journey, I went from forcing myself to like believing these things and not really believing them to like a flip switch, and one day I just looked at myself and I was like, I am amazing. I am incredible. And I'm going to get through this and kick this motherfucking eating disorder's ass. And I did. And I haven't stopped thinking I'm amazing ever since. Does that make me conceited and narcissistic? Abso-fucking-lutely. But it also makes me a much better person than I was when I was full of self-loathing. I like to think that I'm the kind of person whose confidence radiates off and makes other people feel confident about themselves, because I do feel so good. And does that mean that it's just like a blanket confidence? Absolutely not. Especially postpartum with my body changing so much. I have many days where I look at myself and I'm like, ugh. But I have a lot of tools in my toolbox for pulling myself out of that and back from that. And in general, I know that speaking about myself negatively gets me nowhere. Speaking about myself positively will always be beneficial. So even on days where I'm not feeling my best and I don't feel good about my body, or I don't feel good about whatever, my face, whatever, I have a lot of therapy tools in my toolbox to pull out and remind myself that no, in fact, I am hot, amazing, beautiful, smart, kind, gorgeous, perfect, and all of that in between. And it's not bullshit. It's 100% real, because it's how I convince myself to continue living. It's how I convince myself to continue eating. It's how I convince myself to continue being here today. And for that, I am so grateful. So it must be true. And really, that's the honest answer. I guess to sum it up, I just decided to believe it one day, and it's been true ever since. And that's where my confidence comes from. Oh my god, I have so many more of these. Feeling like shit because your friends are more successful than you. This is an interesting one. You know, this is interesting to me because I feel like success in my life has been defined in many different ways. For so long, success was defined by the amount of money I made, or my status in my career, my job title, my resume. Like for me, that was my metric of success, and I was doing great. And then all of a sudden one day, that was no longer my metric of success. Now my metric of success is a lot more family focused, relationship focused, general life enjoyment focused. And when I looked at my success sort of meter from that perspective, I was really failing a couple of years ago, and I completely shifted everything in my life around to change. And now if my old self looked at me, they would feel like I was really failing. I was not being successful. But my new self looking at me feels extremely successful, and sort of vice versa, right? Like looking back, I'm like, you were not succeeding, right? So basically my point is that it's kind of all a matter of perspective. You feel like shit because your friends are more successful than you based off of your current perspective of what success looks like. But that is not the only way to look at things. And also remember that life is not a competition. And if you view it that way, you're never going to really truly experience like joy joy. What's that phrase? Comparison is the thief of joy. Competition, comparison, it's all the same. Just because someone is quote unquote doing better than you at work or something doesn't actually make them better than you. It doesn't make them worse than you. It doesn't make you worse than them. It doesn't make you better than them. You guys are just two people doing your own different things on different paths in life. And you're both totally awesome. It's hard because women are often trained to view each other as competition. This person's screen name includes a female name, so I'm assuming they're a woman. So women are often trained to feel like they're in a competition with one another, but we're really not. We're absolutely not. And we should always just be uplifting other women who are succeeding and at doing their own version of success in life, while also trying our hardest to be happy in our own path. There is no global competition between women or people in general, and your metric of success is really going to change a lot throughout your life. So just try and enjoy where you're at now. Do your best to achieve whatever goals you have in front of you. But don't compare, because it really gets you nowhere. Okay, planning a wedding and the pressure to be perfect. This one really hits home for me because I planned my entire wedding by myself from scratch. I booked every single vendor. I picked every single aesthetic. I picked absolutely everything from the napkins to the venue to the food to the music to everything in between. I did it 100% by myself. I did a lot of stuff DIY, and it was a lot of fucking work. And not only that, but I did it across the country because I lived in Los Angeles and we got married in New Hampshire. There was so much pressure, and I was doing a lot of research on Pinterest and TikTok and Instagram and whatever the fuck. And I had all these ideas, but at the end of the day, I was extremely constrained by my budget. But also I realized pretty quickly that at the end of the day, a wedding is just a party. It's a fun party that you get a lot of control over, and you get to invite all your friends and family. And truly to this day, besides the birth of my child, my wedding is the best day of my life. But I think it's because I realized that no matter what, even if none of my plans went off at all, and Mario and I got married in the middle of a rainstorm in a ditch somewhere, the day would be a success because Mario and I would get married. And that's all that mattered. And then after that, I just kind of thought about throwing this dope ass party. What do I want? I want this cool party that's everything is purple, the food is really bomb, there's great music, a fun photo booth. The ceremony looks like this, ideally, but you know, and honestly, I think because I kind of just was a little more chill about it and realized that like the day would only be a failure if I ended up not married, then I was easily able to just kind of take a lot of the pressure off. And guess what? Everything went perfectly. I think if I had been more stressed out about it, I don't know if everything would have gone so perfectly. I'm being serious. Okay, I didn't think we were gonna get another nap today, but I looked over and August was yawning. So I was like, well, let's just try this. And he's asleep. It takes like 25 minutes to get him to go to sleep these days for a nap because of the arms out thing is very new. Like swaddling used to be a big part of getting him to sleep, and now we can't swaddle him anymore because he's rolling, but he does eventually get there. So anyway, he's asleep. So, where was I? I was talking about wedding stuff. I think I was saying something along the lines of once I realized that the wedding would be perfect as long as Mario and I got married, everything else was just details. And because of that realization, the day couldn't have been fucked up unless somehow we didn't get married, which we did. And in the end, our wedding was absolutely perfect and everything I dreamed it would be. So, yeah, just remember what really matters, which is you and your husband, future husband. Congratulations, by the way. Or wife, future wife, I guess I don't know. Okay. Advice on moving to a new city with your significant other. How did you decide logistics and avoid fights, etc.? Mario and I moved across the country to Los Angeles with each other from New Orleans. We'd only been dating for 9 months, not even 8.5 months. And if I'm being honest, that made it both easier and more difficult. We didn't really know each other that much. There wasn't like too much expectations or baggage yet within our relationship. So we kind of moved in with each other as roommates who were sleeping with each other. I don't know. It's been a while, right? It's now been 8 years since we moved in together. But from what I can remember, like the hardest part was just sort of combining our vision for the apartment. So, you know, being open to remembering that your living space is no longer just your own and your partner should have an equal say in the way the space feels and looks and operates. And just being willing to compromise. This is kind of like a big step in any relationship. It's important to sort of make sure that you're communicating properly throughout it so there are no hurt feelings and everyone's expectations are being met and you guys are respecting each other's space and intentions. I don't know if Mario and I did this perfectly 8 years ago when we moved in with each other. I don't think we did. But if I could go back and give myself from the past advice, that's what I would say. Okay, next, and then I'm done. This video has been really fun, but putting August down is literally like a marathon, so I'm tired. Okay. Oh man, this is gonna take some of my brain. That's right. I've always loved editing and intended to make that my career. 6 years out of college, I've had some random office jobs. I'm trying to get editing work, freelance work. I'm feeling lost, like it's too late. All I have experience-wise is my degree and an internship cutting trailers. That's something. 5 years ago, those trailers and some short films I cut in college are all I really have in terms of a portfolio. Any advice? Okay. I used to work in post-production for television, leading post departments for many different TV shows across streaming and cable platforms and network platforms. So I've hired my fair share of editors. Here's how you do it. It's a slog. I have a friend that's in the slog right now that I got started on. So I don't know. I guess it really depends on what you want to do. To be an editor, like a freelance editor like I'm doing right now, there's little to no sort of requirements, so to speak. I got really lucky. I met Sierra. She introduced me to a bunch of other YouTubers. My freelance career really kicked off quickly. That being said, I knew how to edit, which it sounds like you also obviously do. So step one done. Make sure you're constantly editing. For a long time, that's all this YouTube channel was. It was just a way for me to constantly stay editing so that I kept up the skill. Even if you're just editing like goofy little home videos for yourself, just constantly be editing, constantly be learning, constantly be watching people whose edits you admire. And just start networking. That's what I did. I just reached out to Sierra one day blindly, and it obviously paid off in spades. If you want to edit in a professional sense, here's the slog. To edit for TV shows or movies, you have to be a union editor. Obviously, this does not apply to like non-union short films or non-union self-funded films, but I'll get to that in a second. If you want to be a traditional editor for traditional media, you have to be in the union. To get into the union, you're required to work a number of non-union jobs to get, I used to know these numbers off the top of my head and it's been a few years, so I don't, but you get a certain number of hours, a couple hundred, I believe, of non-union editing hours, then you won't actually be editing. You'll be assisting, you'll be cataloging, you'll be doing night shifts. Common non-union jobs are reality shows. That's how most people get their hours. There's a lot of reality TV right now. I highly recommend you move to Los Angeles if you're not here already. You could also get this done in New York, but there's a lot less opportunity. This is again if you're in the United States, which is obviously the area that I know the most about. Most editing gigs are in LA. Unlike on-set gigs, post is really focused here in Los Angeles, again with a little bit in New York. Again, you're going to need to find a way to get into the reality show game. That is the fastest way to gain hours, non-union hours. Once you have a certain number of non-union hours, you can apply for the union, you can get rostered, and then it's just all of this comes down to networking and marketing yourself, getting those gigs. I mean, God, if there was a magic key into the industry, I would hand it to everybody involved, but it's way harder than you could ever possibly imagine. And editing is a tricky one because there are a lot of editors. It is a really highly saturated market. I will say that you'll have more success if you're a woman. I hate to say it, but people are seeking out more female editors right now, which I think is fantastic. But that's the long and short of it. So find non-union gigs. I have most of my friends who are editors. You do all your non-union hours, you get into the union, you find an editor who's looking for a new assistant, you work your assistant hours for a couple of years, and then you finally get a gig where you get bumped up. That's the traditional route to becoming an editor. Again, this is from my experience, which is mostly through television. I also have friends who have gotten all their non-union hours on non-union films. So make sure that you're working on a non-union film that will report your hours to the union, because some do and some don't. That's a more fun way to do it. So I have some friends who have assisted on non-union films enough times that they got bumped into the union. So there's a few paths to the union, but if you want to be an editor in traditional media, that is the way to do it. I've been thinking, it's on my list of videos to make, is to make a how I got into the industry video. This is one of the hardest. I don't work in the industry anymore, but TV and media is one of the hardest industries in the world to break into, I'm pretty sure. So I'm happy to do that video. In fact, I think I will. So coming up shortly will be a story of how I got into the industry and sort of my career. But the long and short of it, to be an editor in the traditional sense, is to go that way. But to be a freelance editor for short form digital media content, the world is your oyster, really. Just keep up your editing and edit little silly goofy stuff to add to your portfolio all the time. Keep learning, keep reaching out to people who need editors. Somehow I see posts all the time from YouTubers looking for editors. So be smart about it. I sometimes have people reach out to me asking if I need an editor. That's stupid. I am an editor. It's like that person clearly doesn't watch my content, doesn't know me. So don't do shit like that. Be genuine in your engagement. That's the most successful way to market yourself. And best of luck. Never give up on your dreams. That's my advice. Okay, my camera's on 4%, and that is the last one that I had screenshotted. Sorry if I didn't get to yours. Again, I had so many, but this was fun. I need to figure out a more sustainable way to film videos, but I have a baby, and so I'm still figuring it all out. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you guys so much for submitting your questions and your things for advice. Did I give good advice? I don't even know, because my brain feels like liquid Play-Doh. It feels like liquid Play-Doh? Yes. Anyway, and yes, you've been able to see the couch the whole time, because I just, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you so much. Bye.